Back to the daily grind, and shout out to the full-time patrons. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
Frankie Edgar, former UFC lightweight champion, says that he still believes he deserves a title shot against Max Holloway or Brian Ortega, whoever wins at UFC 226. And I definitely agree. All in favor of Frankie Edgar getting the next title shot say aye. Not only did he just beat Cub Swanson in a way that no one thought he was going to, a lot of people thought Frankie Edgar, he was too quick of a turnaround after getting knocked out by Brian Ortega, risking it for the biscuit. Yo, Frankie Edgar was already supposed to be fighting Max Holloway for the featherweight title. Frankie Edgar unfortunately got injured and they were rescheduled to fight at UFC 222. Well, and when they were going to be fighting it for the title at UFC 222, unfortunately Max Holloway got injured. But Frankie Edgar was still in line for that title shot, and he could have said, okay, Max Holloway's out, I guess we'll reschedule a third time. But Frankie Edgar risked it for the biscuit and said, I'm going to stay on the card, save the card, fuck it, give me Brian Ortega, give me somebody, I got your back. And then he ended up unfortunately getting knocked out by Brian Ortega. First time Frankie Edgar was ever finished and first time he was ever knocked out. Same difference, but you get the point. Frankie Edgar did not have to take the fight. He didn't have to help save UFC 222, but he did. And he did get the payday for it, but he didn't get the results he wanted. But at the same time, now Frankie Edgar since then made a quick turnaround, beat Cub Swanson in a pretty one-sided fight. It was a unanimous decision. He didn't get as many takedowns as a lot of people would have probably expected because it was a rematch. In the first fight, Frankie Edgar really dominated with his wrestling. Frankie Edgar's a really dominant grappler in that sense, but he didn't score many takedowns. He just won the fight standing. Beat up Cub Swanson and in a quick turnaround in front of his home crowd in Atlantic City. And now Frankie Edgar says he feels like he deserves a title shot against the Max Holloway Brian Ortega winner. And now normally I might argue against that because it's like, you know, technically you did stay on the card when you didn't have to. It's called risking it for the biscuit, because if you risk it and you lose, you just lost that opportunity, right? That's like whenever Ricardo Lamas stayed on the card to fight Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett beat him and it set Ricardo Lamas back. But the difference here is Frankie Edgar was going to be fighting for a title. Frankie Edgar's a former world champion multiple times, fought for the belt multiple times, and so kind of like Holly Holmes, you know, always the right answer for who deserves a title shot. Even though if she takes a loss in a title fight, she's the number 1 or number 2 contender, might jump up a division and fight for the title again. It's kind of where Frankie Edgar is. He's already a legend of the sport, and there's no one that's going to see Frankie Edgar fighting for a title and say he doesn't deserve it. And this was just his first time ever being finished, and it was a fight he didn't have to take. He accepted this fight on short notice, really for the fans. And you can say, yeah, well, he still got a paycheck. He did, that's true, but at the same time, he could have waited for a bigger paycheck for that title fight. He didn't. He 100% could have said, oh, Max Holloway's out, sorry guys, you know, y'all just take Cyborg versus Kunitskaya, I'm not staying on the card. He could have did that, but he didn't, and so you got to give Frankie Edgar a little respect. On top of, he made a really quick turnaround, already got another W, shook off the cobwebs, and Frankie Edgar is, as I said, a legend of the sport. So I think Frankie Edgar does deserve a title shot. Now there's a lot of there's not too many guys at featherweight. When you think featherweight, who's the next number 1 contender? There's no one that immediately comes to your head, you know, like except for if you're thinking Frankie Edgar. There's a couple other guys making noise, like Renato Moicano, and some other guys moving up. Josh Emmett, Jeremy Stephens. Josh Emmett just took that loss to Jeremy Stephens, but Jeremy Stephens, he's scheduled to fight Aldo. So the winner of that fight could be, you know, really looking for a title fight. But we'll see what happens, and that's what Frankie Edgar's saying. Frankie Edgar's not coming out and saying title shot or nothing. This is a dude. He's a company guy. He's a man of the people. If the title shot's not in the line, I would not be surprised if Frankie Edgar takes another fight to get that title shot. But if you're going to ask Frankie, hell yeah, he deserves a title shot. But at the same time, what if Max Holloway wins and wants to move up and fight for another title? You know, or Brian Ortega's recently came out and said if he wins, he's interested in fighting Khabib. So that's the thing that could set Frankie Edgar's title shot back, or Jeremy Stephens if he happens to win. Maybe that, you know what I'm saying? Because these guys might not want to defend against the number 1 contender immediately. The winner of Max Holloway and Brian Ortega, they might be looking for a super fight after that. But if they want to defend, then they might be defending against Frankie Edgar. But do people want to see Frankie Edgar versus Brian Ortega? You know what I'm saying? We just saw that fight. Brian Ortega just finished him. We didn't get to see a lot of the fight. He knocked Frankie Edgar out pretty quick. But a lot of people picked Frankie Edgar, so I wouldn't be mad at a Brian Ortega-Frankie Edgar rematch. That's actually a great fight. It was supposed to be a great fight. Grappler versus grappler, a jiu-jitsu specialist versus a very high-level, well-rounded mixed martial artist, but more of a dominant wrestler. Frankie Edgar versus Brian Ortega was a great matchup. It just ended really quickly. So maybe Frankie Edgar does get an immediate title shot at the winner. But we also got Jeremy Stephens and Jose Aldo fighting. If Jeremy Stephens wins that fight versus Jose Aldo, maybe we see Jeremy Stephens versus Frankie Edgar. I believe it would be a rematch in a #1 contender fight. But either way, let me know in the comments. What do you guys think? Do you think Frankie Edgar deserves an immediate title shot after beating Cub Swanson? You know, he lost. He didn't have to risk it, and that's one of the things he said. He said, I think I'm still the guy. Shit, I risked the shot. Maybe I shouldn't have, like people said. But I'm going to do it every single time. I still believe I can win the fight with Ortega. I was doing well in that fight. Obviously, I got caught, and Ortega did a good job of finishing. But yeah, I want the winner. I think I deserve it. I'm the #3 guy. We'll see what happens. So I completely agree with Frankie Edgar there. For one, he didn't have to risk it. For two, the rematch, it's not like Brian Ortega just dominated Frankie Edgar, you know, from bell to bell. No, he got caught. And for three, Frankie Edgar, we already said he didn't have to risk it. For three, Frankie Edgar's always the answer. Hey, and his nickname's The Answer. With that being said, man, it is what it is. There's a lot of stuff to cover today. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments. Who should get the next shot at the winner of at the winner of Max Holloway versus Brian Ortega? You got Jeremy Stephens to keep in mind if he can beat Aldo, and of course Frankie Edgar, who already got that W over Cub Swanson. We'll see what happens. Maybe there's a #1 contender fight. I'm out. And as always, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell right next to it so you're notified every time I upload a video. I'm out.
This is #1 bullshit.